Hi everyone, welcome back to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and welcome to my January 2025 garden tour. I'll be showing you both my front and my backyard this month, and it is what you would expect. We just got over a couple weeks of cold snaps. So we had a very warm December. I think we only had a handful of freezes. We got down to 28 degrees in the month of December, and then January hit, about January 9th to be honest, and that's when our winter hit. So we had winter for 2 weeks. It was fabulous. We actually got about 6 inches of snow. We got temperatures down into the teens and wind chills into the single digits. It was very cold. And so we got over that after maybe 4 or 5 days, and then we had a couple days of warmth, somewhat warm for winter, and then we had another Arctic cold snap, and that's the one that down south, like the Florida Panhandle, Houston, Gulf Coast, they all got like lots of record-breaking snow. We up here, we just got really cold, and again, we got temperatures into the teens, wind chills into the single digits, and so the garden is just now starting to feel any kind of warmth. And I'm going to go around and show you what the few weeks of the cold snaps have done, and we're going to talk about what maintenance I need to do for late winter and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to start here. I have my lovely topiary here. This is a Carolina cypress, Carolina sapphire cypress, and it is doing well. I actually covered it during this last cold snap because it was supposed to get a little colder than it did get, but I covered the whole thing because it is rated down to a zone 7. I am a zone 8, and because it is in a pot and it's its first season as well, it really needed to be protected. So I had it covered. It's out. If you see, what I have noticed is that our winds come from this direction, especially just the last couple weeks, and so it's kind of making my topiary just not so straight, and that's okay. I'm gonna figure out how to anchor it a little bit and get it growing straight up again, but it's doing really well. It has some great winter interest. I love the color of the foliage. I even had, let's see, all the way up here, there's a little like growth on the top of that, and there's some more like really pretty big growth up there. So it's actually, I'd say it's doing pretty well, doing really well actually. And then down below that, sorry for my shadow, it is variegated liriope. It's done really well. And then, yes, I've got some leaves and things, but I'm keeping those in to keep everything kind of insulated. But I have some violas planted down there that are doing okay. Over here, I do have a star jasmine, and yeah, it looks like it has done what star jasmine does for me every single year in the wintertime. If you can see these bronze leaves right here, that vine is dying off, and so and most likely a lot of this that's even a little bit green right now will continue probably to die off, but there is some really nice green down at the base. Hopefully I will get to keep those vines that are down at the base, and it won't have to start over from absolute roots, but that's kind of what star jasmine does for me every year, so it is what it is. Coming over here, I have my little garden goose, silly goose, and then I had some annuals planted in there. They're obviously gone. I have more variegated liriope in there. It's not planted. It's actually still in nursing pots that I'm going to place somewhere in the landscape in the spring. But coming over here, I have a hedge of sunshine ligustrum, and yeah, it's taken on a bronzish hue, a little more than I'd like it to be honest. But one good thing is I'm going to give this guy a really hard prune here. probably in the next few weeks, I would say, right before growing season starts. It needs to be pruned back heavily. And so that's going to happen. And then I'll have some bare shrubs for a little while before everything kind of fills in. But all of that bronzish foliage is gonna go away. A lot of it is yellowish, which is fine, but it may have taken on a little bit of winter damage there. Down here, this is really, really exciting, actually. If you can see this right here, that is Superbina Sparkling Amethyst. And this is rated down to a zone 8. We absolutely experienced zone 8 temperatures, and I thought this plant would be like at least acting like a perennial at this point and dying back. But no, it's still fully green. I can't believe it. This was not covered in any way, shape, or form. So this has experienced temperatures into the teens with winds like crazy, and it is still green. So Superbina Sparkling Amethyst, it's done really, really well. As well as my Maynite Salvia has started to die back a little bit. Usually at this point it's completely died back, but it still has a little bit going on as well. And it's kind of mixing in with that verbena too. I have a container here. It is a standard limelight hydrangea that I pruned it myself. I trained it myself, I should say. So it's not exactly super straight. It's not exactly shaped the way that the nursery ones are. It was my first one. So I think it's doing pretty good. I'm getting ready in the next couple weeks again to do all my late winter pruning. So that's going to include this guy as well as some guys in my backyard. And then underplanted here, I have yellow and purple violas, as well as some pink dianthus that's currently not blooming but still green. So that did not take a hit whatsoever. Again, none of this in this front garden planter was covered in any way, shape, or form during the snow, during anything. And so I've got matrix pansies here, and I have tons of leaves all throughout those. I'm going to leave them for now because I do believe that they help insulate the garden, so they're staying for now. I have a row of Dusty Miller behind those, and so yeah, Dusty Miller, I mean, it's a champ all year round. It can take the heat, it can take the cold, but this is kind of what it's looking like after these couple weeks in the cold. I don't think it's dead. I think it's just floppy. It's gonna take a little while to come back. But right behind this is, I think these are my daylilies coming back. Or are they? They could possibly be my daffodils. I have some daffodils that are coming up. And yes, actually I do think, because I have a daylily planted. Actually, my daylilies right there. Okay, so yes, these are daffodils coming up. And then Maynite Salvia is right here. I have a Sweet William right here. So this Sweet William is replacing a Sweet William I had this past season because it petered out. This Sweet William I bought in the fall, and it was already blooming, and so that's why you see these spent blooms. I'm going to cut those all the way back, but you can see that nice green foliage, and I'm hoping it will rebloom for me in the springtime. We shall see, because it was already blooming in the fall. It may not, but I really hope it does, because they are absolutely gorgeous. And just so that y'all know, there's tons of seeds in there. Sweet William and Dianthus are prolific seed producers. Like I said, there's that daylily right there. Right next to that, I have another Maynite Salvia, and then I have my little bird bath there. The daffodils are coming up, and then something else that was right there that was planted in the fall is lemon ball sedum, and let's take a look at it. It looks like this side struggled a bit in that cold, but it, like this one right here, is struggling. But I've got some pretty good growth, so I think it's gonna be fine. Look at that, nice little pop of winter color. That is nice. Oh, there's my fountain that I left out of the bird bath. Okay, coming back here, that is a Salvia Greggi. I need to cut that all the way down. I actually see some baby growth all the way down there. I have another daylily back here. It has not fully gone to sleep yet. That's incredible. Again, this was not covered. I have balloon flower here. Again, I need to go and cut these all back. It's just been so cold. I haven't been able to do, I've been doing little things by little things, mostly taking down all of my vines. So that's now done. Now I need to go and trim back up some of the things that should have been done a while ago. But balloon flower needs to be trimmed down. Salvia Gregi needs to be trimmed down. I have a dianthus right there. Again, I love them because they do provide evergreen interest. The blooms that were blooming before this cold snap are now gone. They'll come back, and it'll be just fine. I have more Dusty Miller back there. I have the sweetest little Lambo garden sheep here. And this is so interesting too. This is variegated Vinca major. It is a ground cover, and it's still going. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I have that ground cover going, and then I also have a Juga planted under there with some Dusty Millers as well. Let's back up a little bit, and you can see I have my Vitex tree right here. It's unbelievable. It is definitely a very fast growing tree, very prolifically blooming tree, beautiful purple flowers that pollinators absolutely love. But I am gonna trim this guy back a bit, and I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do that, but it definitely, I may, yeah. We'll just have to see. This branch that is growing right here all the way back over the sunshine of the gushroom, it's got to go. And then all of these lower things, any branches that are crossing, they've all got to go. Any of the loose spindly ones, they've got to go. So I've got to do some tree pruning here coming up. Taking a look at the Ajuga in the winter time, I am slightly disappointed. I thought that Ajuga was going to be a little more evergreen for me here in Zone 8, but I am mistaken. It's not really. It does kind of die back quite a bit, more than I thought it was going to. I feel like the Vinca Major, like right there is Vinca Major, that does a little bit better than the Ajuga does as far as evergreen ground cover. And then of course that Lemon Ball Sedum is a pretty good winter ground cover as well, if you're looking for ideas on that. So let's go around here, and I have my gorgeous hydrangea. This is an endless summer hydrangea, Hydrangea macrophylla, and I hope y'all don't hear that wind too bad. There just isn't any other way that I can film this, but it's doing great. So this has been in the ground for at least 6 or 7 years. It's a good almost 5 feet tall and about 4 feet wide, and it's just unbelievable. It does really well under this Vitex tree, and I think it enjoys the sun in the early spring, before the temperatures get too hot as well. Before that Vitex tree fills out, it gets quite a bit of sun, and it does really well with that. I feel like it does maybe even better than the one on my porch, which I'll show you. So anyway, we had blooms on this guy up until about 3 weeks ago. And this will be interesting because I usually have my hydrangeas go dormant in December. I've never had them last all the way through January the way that they did. And so I feel like it was starting to get into spring mode before we got these cold snaps, which means that all of these buds are probably fried. Probably. I don't know. Like that one's still green. So as you know, with Hydrangea macrophylla, they bloom on old wood and usually only on old wood. Endless summer blooms on new wood as well. But all of these are my spring blooms that you see, and some of them are fried. So, I mean, could I have covered these during the cold snap? If in hindsight, realizing that it was kind of going back into spring mode, I probably should have. But we'll see. We'll see what the spring holds. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be okay. I think I'm still going to get blooms, but we shall see. This will be a good experiment. And then, of course, I've got that variegated Vinca Major all underneath that, which it's doing incredible. Honestly, I think it's more shielded from wind back here. And wow, look at it. This was not covered. I'm telling y'all, this is like the things that are still doing really, really well after the temperatures that we had and not being covered, it's actually quite surprising. Let me just quickly show you my curbside containers with Miss Expires Blue Salvia, and then this guy, which again is the Superbina Sparkling Amethyst. You can see there's a little bit of frostbite there. I did cover these, just FYI. And then I do have pansies in here, still in containers. Long story about that, but just the way it is. They will be planted here soon, I think. But anyway, so these are the pansies. But the Miss Expires Blue Salvia did go into dormancy. I hope that it will come back to life for me in the spring. It is rated down to a zone 8, and I am a zone 8. However, again, being in container, it feels temperatures 2 zones colder than the current temperature. So I did cover these during the last cold snap, not the snow though. The snow is what put them into dormancy. They weren't even dormant before that. So here's the other one, and we'll just have to see. We'll have to see if they come back for me. I hope they do. If they don't, I'll just find 2 more, put them in the exact same spot, because I know that's what does well there. So anyway, those are pretty cool. Let me show you what's on my porch real quick, and then we'll go to the backyard. All right. So here is another one that was marginal. It is a Gerbera daisy, and this guy is huge. It's like 17 inches in diameter, 18 inches in diameter. It's as wide as this pot is. It's only been in here for 1 season. It was a little itty bitty baby. And I did cover this during the second cold snap, not the first. So it's not even quite dormant. You can even see it had a little baby that was coming up before the first cold snap hit. Obviously, that baby is kind of fried, but not completely dead. And I think this will be fine. It's very protected in this location right here, behind the sunshine ligustrum, on the porch, next to another pot, next to another pot. Like, there's lots of insulation around here, and it was covered for that second cold snap. I do believe it will be just fine. And then here is my Encore Azalea Autumn Sunset, and it was blooming again before that first cold snap hit and the snow. So that's why all of these flowers are spent. But and the little tips, these new growth tips, are a little bit fried, but otherwise it's doing fine. It's rated down to, I think, zone 6, so I'm not worried about it in that container at all, and it's doing great. Another pop of great evergreen interest, if y'all are looking for inspiration, absolutely English ivy is the way to go, and I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. Look at these beautiful variegated leaves. I just absolutely love them. They've taken on this little pinkish tint, as well as the stems, in the wintertime, and they do amazing in our winters here. So just don't plant them in the ground. They can go pretty crazy pretty quickly. And so here is my other endless summer hydrangea macrophylla, the one that I have on my porch. And yeah, again, this last season was the best season we ever had. I had about 50 blooms here. I have not cut them off, and you can see, like, it's just done so well. Just all season interest. I even kind of like it like this. But one thing that does concern me just a little bit, I didn't even notice this, it was popping up with some spring growth before this blast, and the spring growth honestly is still popping up, and it's fine, and it's not damaged. And I did not cover this, y'all. I didn't cover it in these crazy temperatures, and that is still happening. So again, like all of these new little buds, let me try and find more. I'm actually not seeing a whole lot on this one, a whole lot of buds anyway. You see right there that leaf node with buds, those are pretty fried. So we'll see if they regrow. I don't quite know. We'll have to pay attention to that and see if we get any spring blooms this year. It's possible we won't. And then this guy, I think we're gonna be okay. No, I do see some buds that did pop up, but they don't look They don't look to be damaged in any way. See that little bud? That little bud. This guy is variegated lace cap hydrangea. Same thing, blooms on old wood. And I've actually never seen it bloom. I've had it for 3 growing seasons now. And the leaves just have never really fully taken, fallen off. And I've left them there just for a little bit of insulation to preserve those spring buds that are popping up right now. But again, we'll see. I hoped that I would see this bloom this year. They're known to take like 5 years to bloom. And so I might get to see some blooms this summer. I might not anyway, but there's a little bit of damage there, but they are coming up. That's for sure. So if I get any really, really hard freezes, I probably will be covering up my hydrangeas, only because if they're in dormancy, you don't have to worry about them. But if they are not dormant and they're trying to break out spring growth and you have a major cold snap, then you'll probably want to cover them. And then coming over here, I have my 3-tier planter that is admittedly completely empty. However, I have great plans for this, and just wait. This spring is going to be pretty awesome and it's going to look lovely. But that pretty much finishes out my I do have another planter with that English ivy. It also has some dianthus in there, down in there, and it's doing great. So yeah, there's my other little porch planter. And on to the backyard. All right, so walking out into the backyard, let's go ahead and start where I usually start. That's in this corner over here. Okay. Here we go. Trying to deal with my shadows and the wind and all of the things. But I've got Kaleidoscopobelia here. It's getting ready to get trimmed up. It was not doing well. I transplanted it from another location that was pretty much full shade that it did not love. So that's why it looks the way it does. Right here is my row of dwarf Mexican petunias. They're pink. And they were totally blooming up until 3 weeks ago. And now you can see the cold has shot them into dormancy. They will come back though. And then I have my candy corn spirea is right here. Again, it was not dormant until 3 weeks ago when our cold snaps hit. So this also needs a good prune that I'm going to do here pretty soon, because this guy's pretty early to emerge. When it emerges, it's these beautiful red red leaves, bright red leaves, and so I need to prune this fairly soon before all that starts. And then popped all throughout this landscape, it really is my perennial garden now. So I have some annuals planted here, some pansies and violas, and to be 100% honest, they have taken a beating. My puppy keeps going through and digging usually this little part out, and gosh, she has dug up so much, and I keep replanting everything that she's digging up, right? But so I had some pansies. They're in rough shape. The violas seem to be doing a little better. Actually right here should be Sweet William. That's what this was. And she may have done that number in. I don't know. We'll see, because Sweet William should look a lot better than this. This is a dianthus, I believe. And one thing I'm looking at as I'm looking through, I had daffodil leaves popping up quite a bit ago. So many of you actually ask, hey, my daffodils are popping up in December, late December. It's already getting cold. Should I cover them? This is your answer. This is what they look like after not being covered, after really extreme cold temperatures. It's okay if they come up early. They know what they're doing, and they're doing just fine. This is Chloe, our garden cat. She is an outdoor cat. She found us. We took care of her, but she cannot come in because I'm highly allergic. And yes, I'm petting her, but I wash my hands afterwards. So hi, Chloe. You sweet girl. But Chloe's kind of hiding it, but you can see I have daffodils coming up all around here as well. So those are fun. Let's see. There's another Sweet William there. There's a white swan echinacea there. I have a coreopsis planted over there. Again, some more pansies. Right around here, actually, is a plumbago serratustigma. Actually, this is it. Plumbago ceratostigma. It's a fabulous ground cover with bright blue flowers, does really well in our heat and drought conditions. So excellent ground cover. There's another Plumbago ceratostigma over there as well. Another Sweet William over there. I know I have another Echinacea purpurea over here. And let's see, coming back. What all do I have back here? See if I can remember. Another Coreopsis is right there. Another Dianthus is right there. And then I have a Verbena right there. I have this, I think is the Peachy Keen, the Superbena Peachy Keen right there. It does not look as good as the Superbena Sparkling Amethyst. I'm telling you, the Superbena Sparkling Amethyst is the best Superbena out there. It's my experience anyway. Tell me if you have a different experience. But over here, let's see. I know I have another Echinacea. I have an Echinacea powwow around here, and I have an Echinacea, like an orange one as well. I love them. And then right around there, that is a Mr. Goodbud sedum. So he will be popping up. Actually, I see a little bit of growth right down in there. But that was from before the cold snap. So we'll see if it survives. There's a Echinacea purpurea there. I have a Star Jasmine vine there. I forgot to mention there is a Star Jasmine vine as well. And then you're still seeing some of the dead remnants of the purple hyacinth bean and black-eyed Susan vine. I didn't completely make it die back right there because the Confederate Star Jasmine was doing so well, and it's so green right now that I thought, well, I'm gonna add that extra layer of protection. I'll keep it there and then I'll take that out earlier. But yeah, that jasmine vine's doing better than it normally does for these types of temperatures. And then down here, I do have a Sapphire Indigo Clematis. That's what it looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. This is my first growing season with this, and it looks like it went all the way down to the ground. So hopefully it comes back for me. Hopefully it didn't die. I also had a very small bare root Jackmani Clematis down there, and I don't think it made it through the season either. So we'll have to see. I have a rosemary planted over there. I have a container of strawberries. I'm gonna back up so I can show you my containers, but before I do, that is my Texas sage. That's gonna need to be trimmed up here pretty soon as well. And let me get through and back up so I can show you my containers and things. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start here in a second, but there's always this little shade garden that I forget to show you that I want to point out. I have an autumn fern. It's doing so fabulous. I want more and more and more of them. They're just, I mean, gosh, I've only had that since the fall, and I just absolutely love it. And in the wintertime, look at it. It's beautiful. I have hostas planted in all of these containers. Beautiful hostas, big elegans and proven winners, Woo La La and Diamond Lake. Let's see. Yeah, Shadowland, Diamond Lake. So they've gone dormant. They're fine. I have variegated Liriope just recently planted in late fall. I have a hydrangea macrophylla there that was from cuttings that may not make it. Again, this is an area that my puppy likes to dig, so this has been dug up 3 or 4 times, and I have replanted it. Variegated Liriope and a leopard plant, which it's doing good. Look at this. That's so fun. I think these guys are supposed to die back each year. They're perennial, but it hasn't, and it's doing okay. And then I have a giant leopard plant on this side, and it was a little late in the game. It almost threw me a bunch of blooms, but we got the cold frost, or the cold snap first, and this is what you see now. So it is what it is. Gummy. Oh my goodness. And then over here is, ooh, that definitely went dormant. It is a Sea Heart Forget-Me-Not Brunnera. And that was a little guy that was struggling. Transplanted it. It was doing well until the cold snap. So we'll see if it comes back. We shall see. Now let's go over. Get out of there. Okay, let me show you these containers. So I've got a whole container of matrix pansies here. And as you can see, the pansies do fine. They're still flowering in my front garden. It gets more sun, I think, than this does. These guys kind of, you know, the flowers died off. But they're beautiful. They'll be flowering in no time. I have a blue agave. I wish I knew what type it was, because so many of these do not do well. In North Texas, they die off with really hard freezes. This one does not. Something got in this. Wonder what that is. But it's doing well, even in this container. It needs to be repotted. It needs more room for sure, but it's doing good. Then I have my herb planter here. So I just kind of trimmed some of this back. This is peppermint. This is dill or fennel. This is... Was this thyme? Yes, this is lemon thyme, still green. After that, I have strawberries in here, still green. On this side is oregano that's kind of dying back. And I had, apple mint as well. So some of it's still green as well. So all of that should survive. And then this is my winter sowing station. I am winter sowing. I have a video about that, so check it out. Some of these have been winter sowed recently, like this week, like balloon flower, yarrow. I did rudbeckia, blanket flower, sweet William, forget-me-not, alyssum. I had alyssum gold dust, and now I have alyssum Rosie O'Day. And then this one has 4 things in it. This is my experimental one. I have it split up, and I have 3 types of zinnias in here, and I also have Mexican sunflower. And I have a lot of these seeds, which is why I was like, I can experiment. I want to see what happens, because I did this in the extreme cold snap. Typically, the warm season annuals like Mexican sunflower, zinnias, you don't want to do that until later in the season. But I'm on a winter sowing group, and some of these ladies are winter sowing them in the snow, the zinnias and the tithonias, which are Mexican sunflowers. So I figured, why not start a jug of it, and I'll do another one later on, closer to our frost date, our last frost date. But let's see what happens. Let's see if they do okay, and then we can compare. So moving on, that's my strawberries. They look awesome. I have some things here. So this is a summer carnival hardy hibiscus. Really, really tough. Like, I don't mean a tough plant. Okay. I'm trying to say it's a very fickle plant. I have not been able to get it to be healthy. Okay. So it's tough to grow. It's not a tough plant. There we go. Hi, Chloe. Hi, sweetie. So also planted in this are some bluebonnet. So I planted some bluebonnet seeds in here. Gosh, in fall, they started to germinate, and they started to, create little babies. And so the babies have been fine. They have not been covered in the cold snap and the snow and stuff, and they're perfectly fine. You gotta get out of the way, Gummy. You gotta get out of the way, pup. Okay, moving on. This is again another Mr. Goodbud sedum. When I transplanted and pruned the other one, there was a portion of the roots that came off, like the plant kind of separated, and I didn't mean for it to, but since it did, I put it in a pot, and it's doing great. You can even see that new growth. Oh my gosh. Things are thinking it's spring. It's kind of crazy. I don't understand it. Some kind of seedling is also germinating. I don't know what it is, a weed or not. I also put cuttings in here of the Mr. Goodbud, but I don't think they've taken. But those are those little cuttings. We'll see. I don't think they took. Nope. Leave that alone. Okay. So here's a crepe myrtle that I brought up from a little baby seedling that popped up in my yard. And then here is another of my pansy containers. You know, that part died off. No big deal. This is all the part that's going to rejuvenate itself after that cold. So that's great. So now, this is probably the biggest plant in the backyard now. It is the sunshine ligustrum. I have tree formed it. I'll show you that in a moment. But I am on a patio that is about 3.5 feet tall. So now I'm 5 foot, and it's as tall as I am. So this shrub is easily 8 foot tall now, and I really need to prune it. I'm gonna go and give it a pretty hard prune here pretty soon, but it is pretty cool. Let me show you the tree form version. See, this is why it needs to be pruned. It never was meant to like overtake and almost get to the Texas sage, for heaven's sakes. All right, coming into this part of the garden, and I would like to grow things under here that are not necessarily shade plants, part shade maybe, and the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to prune this guy pretty heavily. But as you can see, I limbed this up 2 seasons ago. I need to go in and do a little bit better job when I go in and prune and take all those up, and then I'm going to bring it up even higher so that I just have more room under here, under this canopy. But there's also a juga down there. It seems to do better, and I think it's because it's shielded from the wind down here. That's probably what it is. But yeah, I do have some ajuga. I want to get so much more growing under here. I want it to be a carpet of ajuga or a carpet of some type of shade ground cover, as well as some shade plants like some hostas. I don't know if you guys have some ideas, let me know. I'm even thinking about growing some astilbe, some coral bells. I don't know, we'll see. I have a jasmine vine under there that again is doing really well. It's shaded from this ligustrum. The ligustrum has come all the way to the fence. It's never done that before. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so we got to move around. Here we go. Into this portion of the garden. Okay, sorry about that. Here's another Texas sage. Again, I've got to do some heavy pruning so that this guy can get some sun. I also want some part sun plants here. So that's what we'll be doing, working on. I have this lovely vine that starts here. That is coral honeysuckle, and it's going on its 2nd full growing season with me. And it is, I call this vine definitely a semi-evergreen vine. The whole vine doesn't stay green. Most of it stays green. And it's so pretty. It keeps this really nice little green hue all through winter, which I think is lovely. And I hope to see a whole lot more blooms on this guy than I only saw just a handful of blooms last spring. But that was it was only in the ground for a few months last spring. So hopefully we'll see lots more blooms. Let's look back here. I cleaned up this area tremendously recently, but I do have a limelight hydrangea there. Now, I understand that limelight hydrangeas need full sun in normal environments. Texas is not your normal environment. I have found that it needs a little more shade than most panicle hydrangeas, or really panicle hydrangeas need more shade than people think when you're growing them in Texas. So that's what this is, but because of the sunshine ligustrum's growth this last season, it really didn't get the sunlight that it needed. I'm going to prune this guy down. We're going to try it one more season with this thing pruned pretty heavily and see how it does. I also took care of all of this. This was all canna lilies, and I've cut them down. I'm going to take them out. It's just too much around here, and again, it takes away from the sunlight that this area really needs to get to grow the things that I want to grow. So that's just gonna go away. And then I may plant a vine here, probably black-eyed Susan, but I'm not gonna plant purple hyacinth bean vine like I have in the past. I took down the purple hyacinth bean vine today. I had one on each side. It was massive. It was crazy. And I won't do that again there. Yeah, I'd like to put something really nice there as well. It just has to be a part shade kind of plant. I'm learning this is more of a part shade environment, which brings me to this guy, which is a Midnight Marvel hibiscus. And I realized this guy is full sun. This was planted when I thought this would be like a full sun deal, but it's really more like a part sun deal. And it doesn't love life, but it is good still. And let me tell you, I actually thought about transplanting it, and these root systems are really involved with this guy. And so I thought, well, it's happier than I thought it was. The roots are all over the place here. So I'm going to see, like I said, I'm going to be keeping things a little tidier back here, hoping that they get more sun, and see how this does in this next season. But I may end up pulling that out and putting like a panicle hydrangea kind of thing here. It will get more sun here than like this limelight will get there. And so that might be the best spot for a panicle hydrangea. And I may end up taking that Midnight Marvel hibiscus out. We'll see. I will take you up here in just a moment, but that is my trellis that I have Tangerine Beauty Crossvine growing on. It is one of my favorite things that I am growing. It's one of my favorite statement pieces in my entire garden, and I just absolutely love it. This is what it looks like in the wintertime in North Texas, and it's fully evergreen for me. Fully evergreen. You can see this one turned purple. How sweet. Actually, that's weird. I've never had that before. That's a pod. I've never had a seed pod on any of my flowers before. Wow, that's so neat. I'm going to see what that looks like inside. Anyway, the flowers do take on this like purplish hue in the wintertime, but again, it is fully evergreen. And in the springtime, just envision this completely covered in tangerine colored, peach colored, pinky colored blooms. It's going to be spectacular. This is the biggest this vine has ever been. This is its third growing season, and I'm just so thrilled with it. It's my favorite perennial vine, hands down. Hands down. It's just so beautiful. I love it. Down here I have a purple, goodness gracious. I'm going to pop the name on the screen, y'all. I'm getting a brain freeze right now. It's purple blooms on this lovely grass. But it was planted down there. I took it out because it was not getting enough sun, put it up here, and it's not even fully dormant. I know that you're supposed to cut these things back before new growth starts, but I really don't know. What do y'all think? Should I cut this back? I think I probably should, because it's going to bring up a ton of new growth in the spring. So, and then if I don't cut it back, then it's going to keep all of that old growth in. So, okay. Right here is a little lime hydrangea. I think it is dead. It was grown in a different part of my landscape. It's a long story. Go ahead and watch, let's see, probably my October or November backyard garden tour, and I tell you the whole story with that guy, but I think it is dead. And then this is my planter that I use to propagate my panicle hydrangea cuttings, which I'm getting ready to do in the next few weeks. Let me show you. So this was one from last year. This was a cutting from a little lime hydrangea last year, and it did not take. I know it looks like it might have taken there, but it never rooted. So, but anyway, that's what I do. I let the cuttings harden just on their own for a couple of weeks, and then I stick them in dirt. And oh wait, that's rooted. Wait, that's a zinnia. This is a zinnia. Okay, never mind. And so anyway, I'm getting ready to stick them in. Yeah, what do you think? Oh no, that was a Chinese forget-me-not, which I probably could keep, except I want there to be room for my panicle hydrangea cutting. So I'm going to take those all out. Again, that's a Chinese forget-me-not. I plant those seeds in here every year just because I like to watch those coming up while I'm waiting for my panicle hydrangeas to set root. But yeah, that's what's in this planter. Oh, there's another Chinese forget-me-not there too. They look pretty good. Not bad. And then that guy is a little lime hydrangea cutting that I grew here, and I placed it in this pot. And so that should be alive, actually. That was pretty well rooted. So this guy is going to become a baby little lime hydrangea. All right, we're almost done. I wanted to show this to you. This is foxtail fern, and long story, but I was not going to bring this in. It is not marginal down to zone 8. It's a zone 9 plant. And I knew that. And I knew that in order to keep it alive, I was going to need to bring it inside. I just can't do that. This container has jasmine vine planted in it, and it's growing a lot. So obviously I can't take this inside. So I thought, well, I'm going to cover it and hope for the best. I honestly think it's like deep down in there. Some of them have survived the cold snap, and some of them haven't. Like, obviously, this is dead, right? But deep down in there, it might be good. So we'll just have to see. It's kind of an experiment to see if I can get them to come back. I hope they do. I love foxtail fern. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Gummy, out. Thank you. So this is my side garden. I'm going to run down here fairly quickly. This is kind of going to be a rebuild area. I have Greg's mist flower planted down there. I have purple asters planted right here. Very little babies. I have a boxwood. I have canna lilies here that I'm probably going to be taking out. I have an amaryllis right here and another one right there. I do have a peony. I think it's right there, but my puppy has dug this thing up again several times. I have replanted things, and so that peony may not be there anymore. I'm honestly not sure. We will just have to wait and see on that peony. I hope, because this is its 3rd year, and this would be the year that it might flower for me. So I grew it from bare root, and I'm really hoping it comes back and that I can see it flower, but maybe not. I have a daylily there. This is kind of an empty space here. It's going to become amaryllis and daylily and whatever other part-sun plants that I love. Oh, foxglove, and yeah, I think I'm going to do a foxglove, and I wasn't sure about the hollyhock. I am growing those seeds, so if they take, they might go here. Here I have a hardy hibiscus. I forget the type. It's white. And this thing, poor little thing, struggles every summer with grasshoppers so bad. So we'll see what this next summer brings. But it survives. So I've got variegated Vinca major. And then I have 6 endless summer hydrangeas. And again, these guys were just really doing well until 3 weeks ago. And they're just, they're dormant now. I don't see any signs of spring buds. So I don't think anything was zapped. So, a little bit of spring buds on that one. A little bit, like right there, if you can see that. So we'll have to keep an eye on those a little bit. In between them, oh, this breaks my heart. Oh, she's already been digging. I went up yesterday and filled that hole, and it's a hole again. It's so frustrating. So for my birthday, the money that I got for my birthday, I spent on coral bells. I got 5 of them, rainbow colors. Here's one of them, heuchera or coral bell. And Gummy has dug all of this up, my puppy. I'm sorry, my son is working on his car, so that's the noise that you're hearing. But we shall see. No. We shall see if these plants come back. I mean, it's still alive, I get that, but it's not. I've probably replanted these guys like 3 or 4 times, and the tags are not in them anymore. I have to go back to my other video to see what they are anymore. Oh, it's so frustrating. This was my birthday present and she totally ruined it. But anyway, this is I think this was the lemon lime one. I think this was the caramel one. That's actually doing fairly decently. This is like onyx, purple onyx or something. This one is Georgia peach. And the other one was magma, something magma. This poor Georgia peach one, oh my word. You see, she's She's insane, y'all. I don't know what to do. I have a Queen of Hearts Brunnera here that has gone dormant. I have dead foliage here, and that's begonias that are annuals. I have a Turk's cap there. I need to cut that down. It's actually still alive. It's not like fully dormant yet, so that's crazy. And then I have an oak leaf hydrangea here. So, oh, she dug way back here too. Yikes. Okay. Anyway, the oak leaf hydrangea, I've had it in the ground only one full season. I did not get to see it bloom last spring because I do believe the nursery pruned it, and I didn't get to see any of the buds because they were pruned off, or any of the flowers. So this season I'm seeing buds all over the place. If I can get it to focus. But yeah, there should be lots and lots of flowers, which I'm so excited about. It's really been a great plant. Again, you can see she dug up the root ball, and some of the roots are even exposed. I need to go back and recover that. Oh my goodness. But anyway, this is dwarf Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland? Yes, I believe so. Oak leaf hydrangea. So it's so gorgeous. It's about 4.5 feet tall at this point and doing really, really well. And then I have Mexican petunia planted here. There's a daylily somewhere around here, unless she dug it up. Oh my word. You like to have nice things, but when we have kids and puppies, we just can't have nice things, y'all. It's so frustrating. So that concludes my January 2025 garden tour, front and backyard. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it's not a whole lot to see at the moment, but I do have lots of plans and dreams, and it is looking pretty good. I mean, my winter interest is better than it was last year, no doubt, and I just can't wait to see what the next few months holds. It's going to be so exciting to see things spring back to life for sure, and to see some color. But in the meantime, I thank you all for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Goodbye, everybody.